That works.
Okay, very good. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. We got a great group tonight. 30 are on the call. My name is Ken Fleeson. One of the Zone 33 public image team. With me tonight is Billy Black. Billy's handling all the controls for us tonight. We have Joe Pizor from District 7305 with us. And we have our presenter this evening for it, who is Ashley Waters. Little housekeeping, would ask that everybody please mute themselves during the presentation. I talked to Ashley prior to, as she goes through her presentation, if you do have a question, don't feel free to interrupt her because she's going to be going from topic to topic. At the end of this, we will open it back up to any questions that you may have. And so with that, I will turn the program over to Ashley, who will be presenting to us tonight on advanced social media tips. It's all yours, Ashley.
Thanks, Ken. Billy, can you make me co-host so I can share my screen? Thank you very much. I shared with the group right before everyone got on that I've been battling a cold and then just found out about an hour ago that it's COVID. My entire family is now down for the count. So I'm going to be drinking a lot of water. My voice is very cracked, which means all of the friendly faces that I see here who know I love to talk and share, I might be a little bit more brief tonight only because I've been doing a lot of talking today. And my throat doesn't really want to seem to hang on. But I was so excited about this. I certainly didn't want to keep everyone else hanging on. So thank you to everyone who joined. This is definitely the largest masterclass group we've had since we started these. And I'm very excited to share some social media things with you tonight. So let me get going here and share my screen. Make sure I can still see you all when I do it. Perfect. All right, I can still see you guys and I'm hoping you guys can see my screen. So, oh man, what is happening? All right, I'm not gonna touch it and hopefully it won't move on me. So before we start with our plan presentation, oh good lordy. All right, we're gonna have to get this way. We do wanna talk about one quick thing, and that is who here saw the Rotary theme that was announced earlier today? Lots of people, I'm assuming. I saw it all over social media today, so everyone is super excited about Jennifer Jones's theme of Imagine Rotary.
That's the meeting.
So I just want to give everyone a quick reminder that this theme does not start until July 1. So I know we're all super excited about it and we're sharing it all over the place. Number one, doesn't start till July 1. So try to make sure we're keeping this. We're only a little over halfway through the current Rotary year. And secondly, this is meant to be an internal logo and inspiration. And a lot of times we want to share it out with the world. And as public image folks, we get very concerned about this only because we already have brand confusion. And so when you add this in, it creates more brand confusion. So I could give you a whole diatribe and dissertation on my thoughts on Rotary's presidential themes, but that's not why we're here tonight. But our biggest ask for you is, again, not to use this robustly until July 1. And when you're using it after July 1, to make sure you're using it internally and not publicly to create any more confusion. So if you guys have any questions about that, about the theme, about where you find the documentation, we're happy to do that at the end, but we figured since it just went live today, it would be worth mentioning to everybody. Just a few reminders about the theme. So what we're really here to talk about today is social media tactics for clubs who are kind of like killing the basics, right? They're doing a lot of cool things. And so where do you go next and how do you kind of up your game, if you will? So we're gonna talk about 3 major things you can do. And we're gonna start with just understanding when you're ready. So what does it mean to be killing the basics? A few tools that can help you. And then I always try to end with some reminders and best practices, just so everyone feels like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, given that social media changes so rapidly. I will also caveat that I see plenty of faces on this call who do already what I would consider advanced social media things. So some of you don't think you're advanced on social media, but you're doing a really great job. So if you're bored today, I apologize, but that's because you're already killing the advanced sessions and you should be really proud of yourself. So like I said, there's lots of different skill sets on social media. I'm hoping everyone can walk away with something tonight to help them out. Okay, so I want to kind of open up the floor here to see, what do you guys think makes your social media efforts successful? What kind of things have you learned over your time, whether you're a district public image chair, whether you're a club public image chair, whether you're in the DG track? Is there anything that's just like stood out to you? And you can use the chat if it's easier. If you want to kind of unmute yourself and talk, that's fine too. Timely posting, yep. Engagement, yep. Frequency, reach. Using media news reports, lots of pictures. Yes, you guys are hitting a lot of good things. Regular posting. So you guys are getting the what I would say the basics are exactly that. See, you guys are great. One, consistent posting. This means you have enough of a presence that people are paying attention, and from an algorithm standpoint, it's going to show up for people more often. So again, just remember, you don't have to create everything yourself. Between Rotary International, between things going on in your community, partners you have in the community, posting isn't always coming up with your own content. It could be sharing content, and by creating your own content and sharing content, just with that consistency is really, really helpful. Number two for a solid presence is engaging photos and stories. So again, we talk a lot about how do you take a good Rotary photo, and we try to beat it at everyone's heads that the check photo, right, or the meeting presenter and your president, after a while gets a little dull. So what can you do to jazz it up? And so we try to make sure we're actually taking photos of people in action, right? People actively serving, doing some fun other engagement posts around who your members are or who your partners are in the community, all that kind of stuff. So we love those engaging photos, those engaging stories, especially when they bring in your partners. That just helps you amplify your reach. And really active engagement. And this is an area where I think some clubs and districts can always do a little bit more. I always say that, you know, there's two things about social media. It's social and it's work. And so when you're only pushing information out, that's great, but you also need to be responding to other people's stuff, actively responding to comments that come in. And this sometimes that's where it kind of goes, and people just kind of forget. They're like, well, I'm doing a great job of pushing it out, but are you really actively engaging people? So I would say, again, if you feel like you have some things still to work on, these are the three main buckets I would always go back to. This is a solid social media presence for our clubs, for our districts, for Rotarians individually, for our, to be honest, you know, if you want to have a solid personal social media brand, this is what you need to be doing, okay? So I'm hopeful that some of you feel like you're nailing this. Some of you may be saying, well, we need to do more of that. Again, these are the kind of like the building blocks to going a little bit more exciting with what you're doing. So I'm going to talk about three main things tonight, and I think they get progressively more exciting as we go on. But so three things I think will help your lives or your district public image chairs' lives a little bit easier. So first is using the scheduling function through Canva. Scheduling in social media is nothing new, okay? I'm going to be honest, it's been around for a long time. There's a lot of different platforms that help you do it. But what I find is that a lot of clubs, they bite off more they can chew. They're paying for Hootsuite and all these other different platforms, when the reality is you're making it harder for yourself, and you really can get some simplicity and strategic initiatives going if you start to use things like Canva, which most of you, based on our feedback, are already using Canva to design a lot of your things. And so Canva scheduling has only been out for about a year. And so it's really, really helpful because it's already connected. So first things first, I would recommend that you have a club or district Canva account that you pay for the pro version. When you pay for the pro version, you do right now get 5 emails that can be connected to that pro version separately, which is really helpful because Canva originally didn't allow that to be a thing, and you had to pay for every individual membership separately. So when you're in here designing, the awesome part about this is you can build out your calendar right here. Your team can be working together, building different things, scheduling various things. And to be honest, it really is something that just puts it in front of your entire team for your social media planning. So again, no matter what you're doing in terms of whether this is video clips or just still graphics or whatever it could be, the scheduling function through Canva just brings you all together, which will allow you to do more because you're not having to go outside and do a bunch of things outside of the platforms you're already using. So this may seem kind of like juvenile and simplistic. It definitely is one of those things that investing in the pro plan, getting it set up where you're not going to have things in individual people's accounts in case there's ever turnover. Take the time to get yourself set up with Canva. Build out that brand guide in Canva. That way your fonts, your colors, and all your logos are in there appropriately. And then it really will set you up to build out your schedule. And then you can see for your consistent posting how you can increase what you're doing when it's all right there visually in front of you, and where your gaps are when you want to be sharing content that you're not posting yourself. So again, it really is a great tool. It's much simpler than a lot of the scheduling tools out there, in my opinion, and is definitely worth your time and investment. So you can see here, you basically link your accounts. You can link your Facebook account, your Instagram accounts. You write exactly what you're going to be doing, and then you hit schedule post. So if you're familiar with Canva, you literally just go up in the corner where you do all your things in Canva, hit the schedule button, and you can choose all the different things you want, just like you do in other types of scheduling platforms. Like I said, I tended to use the Facebook Business Suite for Facebook and Instagram for a really long time until I really found this to be even better. We're going to talk about some of the things you can do in Facebook and Instagram in terms of ads, but from a general day-to-day stuff, I really do. I suggest you use this platform because so many of you are already designing in Canva, and it's just taking time out of your day to download and then go somewhere else with it. So it's a very simple tip, but I really do think the time savings will help you move forward. So our second thing we're going to talk about today, and we get a lot of questions about this, is going beyond boosting, especially on Facebook and Instagram. Sorry, I'm going to go back for one question. Does the Canva scheduling carry Canva branding when the artwork is posted? So if you have the pro version, then no, you will not see any of the Canva brand stuff show. But if you're using a non-paid version and you use one of the Canva premium or pro photos or any kind of assets, you definitely will see that going forward, just like you would if it's downloading. So again, that's why it's important, in my opinion, to invest in the pro version. I saw that someone put in here that nonprofits can get the pro version for free for Canva. And so, you know, that works well, that you won't need to pay for it. But yeah, be careful not to use anything that has that Canva kind of watermark on it. There's ways around it pretty quickly if you can either get yourself noted as a nonprofit or pay the small premium that it does cost to get that going. All right, make sure I didn't miss anything else. Okay, perfect. Does DACDB have a social media function? Billy, I'm gonna knock that over to you because you know I'm not well versed in DACDB. Does DACDB have a social media function? Did we lose Billy?
Sorry, I put it in the chat and I realized I'm signed in as Alex. It does not. So Alex is chiming in.
Okay, perfect. No, I appreciate that. Any other questions about Canva and its usefulness in really creating some consistent imaging and scheduling before I get moving?
I got a question, Ashley. Is there any way that we can avoid duplicating efforts by sharing a common database within Canva? Like, I don't know if I don't think there's a way to do it, but you may know a hack. For example, could all the clubs in a district be sharing their graphics so you can get in and see what another club did yesterday and I can just take that one, and rather than reinventing the wheel from scratch, I can just change the name and change the date and carry on. That would be very useful if we can figure out a way for Canva to do that.
Yeah, so Canva has what they call a team, and you can build a team. The one thing about their teams that I don't like is that I have 4 teams in Canva right now, right? So I have my personal team, I have a team for work, I have a team for Rotary, and your premium account does not transfer as you transfer teams unless you're in that team as a prime or premium member. And so the hard part is that you have to make sure that when you're creating your teams, if you're using designs that use some of the premium Canva accents to them, you may end up not being able to download or edit. The way some people get around this is they create a dummy login. So they'll create a really generic email, like district 7620 canva@gmail.com. They'll create a really basic password, and then people can log in using that. There's some plus and minuses about that, right? Because that's not really how the platform is meant to be used. The collaboration tools in Canva, like the commenting and the editing that way, can be hard. There's also another way to do it, and that's by creating and sharing a design as a template. And I've done that quite a bit, where I've designed something. I don't want to give people editing power over it, but I want them to be allowed to use it as a template. And you can share the design as a template. So if we have time at the very, very end, I can pull up Canva and show you how you would do a handful of those things. So again, yes, there's a few different ways you could go about sharing designs. You can share the link, you can create teams, you could create a central login. The one thing I will say, I recently transitioned jobs, and one thing that Canva does not do well is transferring the ownership of a design. And so it's really important to think about who owns your designs and how they're living in Canva, because if it's all on a personal team for someone and they, for some reason, disengage from Rotary, transferring the ownership of designs is it's like 85 steps, and it really should be much easier. So that was a very long answer to your question, but I'm hopeful that was helpful.
Nico has his hand raised.
Thank you, Billy. So Ashley, quick question. So on the pro account, I put it in the chat. So anybody that I want to add onto the team or onto my account, so Canva wants to charge $59 on it. So just want to make sure that we have the right thing set up, and then looked at kind of mirroring what Zone 34 was doing for their public image, where they have all these templates that are set up, but it's set up on the free account because there's 200 people that are on there. And what they did was essentially they created templates that you would have to go on, kind of download it or import it into your account to then make the tweaks to it. But even like Jenny and I, so Jenny's on my account, and what I realized is that anything that she creates, like, you have to be able to save it and share it so anybody else on the team would be able to see it. And I think that's one of the big things to share if we ever do a training piece on it, because like if I create something, I have to click on it's shareable so she can see the design, and she would have to do the same thing.
Right. There's like a little eye that you have to like wake up. Yeah. So Nico, I would recommend looking at your Canva Pro account, because like I said, when I initially created my Canva account, 4 or 5 years ago, it didn't allow you to get anything really with that Pro account. But then when we created one for my job recently, we were able to get, I think it's up to 5 people, their own, like a link into our team, and they didn't have to pay for the premium stuff. So I think they're evolving that a little bit. And like we said, I think someone mentioned it's free for nonprofits. So again, there's different ways to go about it. It's not that expensive. And to be honest, from a public image side, from a design perspective, you can accomplish a lot, and it looks very professional. So to me, if you're having any trouble or you do need to add an extra person, that $60 is like worth its weight in gold. It is so worth it. And so like I said, I can stay on and we can walk through Canva a little bit, or if it's something where we want to have a part 2, and at our next month, we want to dive into Canva a little bit more on our open office hours, we're happy to do that, because we know it's a pretty good tool for a lot of people to use.
Let's do that, Ashley.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so a lot of you probably, when you're posting on social media, notice there's this big boost button. And a lot of people are like, yeah, boosting is so easy. So today we're going to talk a little bit more about beyond boosting and really talk about the Facebook Ad Center. And so I'm going to come back to this one. So the biggest thing about social media advertisements is it's just a really affordable option. And for the most part, I think people are only using it for events because it's really natural to say, hey, I want people to come to our event. I know exactly who I need to target to come to our event. So I'm going to do a Facebook ad. But sometimes people don't really spend the time in the details in the Facebook ad, and then they're not going back in and looking at what's working. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today to go really just beyond the basic boost where you're going to spend, $3, $4 a day to get it more exposure, to really talk about how you can use ads for membership recruitment, for event exposure, and other things that you're doing. So first, the biggest thing when you're trying to do an ad is you're trying to figure out what you're trying to accomplish. We've talked a lot in our office hours around increasing the engagement on your page requires you to increase your audience size. You need to garner more likes, more followers. You need to engage with other partners by tagging them in hopes that you're going to gain more followers. Because if you only have 100 people following your page, you're never really going to gain a lot of exposure because you don't have the initial followership. So some people are trying to do more in terms of ads to get people to like their page. Some people are trying to get them to buy tickets. Some people are trying to, just do a lot of different things by clicking, on the learn more button. So I want you guys to think about strategically what you could be using ads for that's other than the events you're doing. And again, one thing could be a simple membership campaign around, becoming a member in your district, in your club, by showcasing who is already a member, showcasing maybe one of your signature projects. And so when you feel like you have a really great social media post that is worth investing some money into, that's when Facebook advertisement comes in really handy. And this is also currently linked to Instagram. Again, Facebook and Instagram being owned by the same people makes it very easy to do things once and then it go out to both of the platforms. So when you're coming into the ad center, like I said, the biggest thing is what's going to be inside this red box. This is where you want to pay attention because it's going to default to the United States, ages 18 to 65. There are going to be times where hey, we want to do a targeted ad to get more women in Rotary, right? Sometimes people want to do that. Or, hey, we really want to attract a younger Rotarian, so let's work on that. This is where you can really get tailored with what you're trying to do. So when you click on the location button, you're going to be able to pick a radius, a town or something, and a radius that goes out from there. For me, where I'm located in Frederick, Maryland, if I do Frederick, Maryland and 25 miles out, I'm almost to Baltimore and DC. And so for me, depending on what I'm trying to do, I may shrink that radius to get more hyper-focused on Frederick, or I may increase the radius or keep it higher because I'm trying to do something that's going to be more district-wide for us. So it's really, really important to take a look at those locations, and you can actually drop a pin and move it around. So I really encourage you, if there's an area in your district that doesn't seem to have a lot of great response, you can specifically target that area and see what kind of response you get. Ages, again, think strategically about this. Again, I think there's, we know that we're not going to really bring in Rotarians at the age of 19. That's a better Rotaract fit. And so make sure you're really thinking about what's working for your club. If you're bringing in a lot of 40-year-olds, there must be something that's attracting them right now. Maybe you want more of that. Or you feel like you're not hitting 50-year-olds anymore, and it might be a good place because they're empty nesters and they have more time to give to their community. So think strategically about what your club in your district is doing and make that range as small or as big as you want. The bigger you make it, the more broad it's going to be. And you can see off to the right that audience size. When you have it in the yellow, that's a little too broad. When you have it in the red, you're probably not going to get the exposure you want. So play around with your audience size and pay attention to that little like thermometer or odometer or whatever that is sitting there, because it really is helpful. Okay, and then you can also add various things down here underneath the red box into detailed targeting. One of my favorite things is I happen to run an Oktoberfest for our Rotary Club. It's our Rotary Club's major fundraiser. And the one thing that people that love beer like to talk about is their love of beer. And so it's really easy for us to add in there in the detailed targeting that an interest or behavior is visiting breweries or drinking beer. And by typing that in, some suggestions will come up and it'll start to feed you people that specifically want to do that. So for an event perspective, it could be very easy. Maybe for you, there's no other detailed targeting. You don't have to fill anything in. But again, this is really, really important because the more time you spend here, the better results you're going to get. So please take the time to make sure you are able to spend time on this before you just go in and pay for an ad. You can choose how long it's going to run, how much money you're going to spend. But if you do those two things and you don't pay attention to this box, that is money not well spent in any area. You also can create your custom and save your custom audiences. That way you don't have to reproduce it every time. Okay, so please make sure you stay there and spend time on it, because often people don't mess with these and then they are frustrated by they don't get the results. Which brings me to point number 2. It is actually looking at your Facebook ad results. A lot of people just go in and do it. They're like, oh, I'm spending $3 a day for a week and a half. That's okay. What you need to do is you need to go back in here and look at this. So this is actually an ad that I ran for one of our events. And you're going to see that I was trying to increase the likes on our page. And you'll see that I excluded people who already liked our page, clearly, because I don't need people learning about our page that already know about our page. We know from our ticket attendees that our ticket registrations that ages 25 to low 60s, we wanted interests of beer. We had a geography-based kind of central in our area. And you can see that we ended up getting a decent reach of over 7,700 people. I spent $100 over and we gained 191 likes. And so for us, those likes are going to transform year after year after year. So for us, $100, 191 likes, we had to sell 9 beers to make that money back up at our event in hopes that they're going to continue to follow what we're doing. This week, we actually gave away $46,000 from that event, and we posted about where the money went to in our community. So for us, this was $100 well spent to get people to an event to raise money for our community who are now learning about Rotary in a different way. So again, you'll just see how much engagement we got, how many likes we got, who actually ended up clicking. 167 of them actually clicked on our website after liking our page. So I would say this is a pretty successful ad considering it only costs us 50 cents per like, but this one isn't even really as great as some of the other ones we've run. So please, when you do it, come back and look at it and see what was performing and what wasn't. And we also can see who was more likely to click on it, males or females, what age group. And so next time we could actually even get more tailored with our ages, because as you can see, our 35 to 54 may have been even a better spot. So when you're doing this stuff, do it intentionally and go back and look at it. I think that's one of the biggest issues I see is people think it's so low cost, they don't need to evaluate it. Make sure you're evaluating it and changing what you're doing. There are also a ton of other ways to do digital marketing in terms of geofencing events, IP address, social mirroring, all these types of things. If you guys ever want to talk about really crazy digital marketing things and you have a little bit of a marketing spend, there are some really cool ways you can increase membership in your district for sure. So are there any questions about that? Anything anyone wants to say regarding that? Anyone who's used ads before that found them helpful? None. Nico, I saw your note and I was going to mention that some organizations do have a 501c3 arm, but yes, Rotary clubs are not 501c3, so it just really kind of depends. So if you have your own 501c3 designation, it makes it easier, but unfortunately, a lot of times clubs don't, which may be why you weren't able to get the free account. So I think that's going to depend on your club. So thank you for pulling that up. So now this is my favorite part, because if you're not using Instagram Reels and Stories, I think it's the biggest opportunity for us to humanize Rotary a little bit more, and certainly to engage Rotaractors and younger Rotarians in what we're doing throughout just really some cool things. So for everyone who's like, oh, Rotary should be on TikTok, oh my, please don't. This is the best solution to TikTok. You can do TikTok, but everyone gets all freaked out about TikTok. They're like, oh, Ashley, I don't want to do TikTok. You don't have to. You can do Instagram Reels. It's really simple to put together. I promise it's the best solution instead of getting, all worried that you can't keep up with your, grandchildren or your children, because my son is 7 and he's already starting to dance like the things on TikTok. So I'm a little worried what my future holds. So we're going to go through just a handful of really cool things that you can do on Instagram Reels. But first, let me talk a little bit about what they are. So Instagram Reels and Facebook Stories, I should have kind of caveated the two, are the little circles that appear at the top of your mobile device when you log into one of the apps. They're only here for a day, so they're there and then they go away. But the cool part is they're a little bit more engaging, and people tend to click through them instead of scrolling through a feed, given the fact that the feeds are so overwhelmed with a lot of different stuff now, that people are really finding Reels and Facebook Stories and Instagram Stories to be a really great alternative. And so there are a handful of things that I think are important when you think about how you can use stories, and then we'll talk about Reels at the end. So the thing about Instagram and Facebook Stories is that you can use pictures, you can use videos, but then there are a bunch of things you can add onto it. You can add tags, you can mention people, you can use locations, you can also do all these different things we're going to show you here. So one, what you do is you would hold down your profile picture and hit add to story, and then you really can just go in here and add in a picture. Add in a picture, you can see the one on the left. Would you get up early to catch this sunrise, right? This is what this person was doing with theirs. Yes, no. So this person added a picture of a sunrise, added this poll, and what you would do on your mobile device is you would hit yes or no, and then you would see how many people hit yes or no, okay? So from a Rotary perspective, you could do something as similar as, are you interested in giving back to your community? Yes, no. Well, all the people that just said yes, who aren't Rotarians, that's a perfect opportunity for you to reach out to them and say, hey, let me tell you more about Rotary. Or you could choose something where you're posting a picture at one of your food drives and say, have you ever contributed to this organization, or have you ever heard of X nonprofit? And you can use those responses to then follow up and create better engagement on the platform, but also off the platform as well. So you can change the yes, no answers. You could make it anything you really want to. So sometimes people are like, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? And they'll have the team's name up there. So you can create a poll for anything you want. Anything that you think your club would benefit from, anything your community would benefit from. It's just a really cool way to post something and to get people to actually engage with your post. So you can be really creative around that. The middle one is where you can ask a question and then actually get answers. And so this is really cool. So for instance, we talked about the Inspire Rotary logo at the beginning and the new theme for the year. So again, maybe instead of putting it out there like Rotary's new theme, Inspire Rotary, and get people really confused with the new sun looking wheel thing that's going to throw people for a loop for a solid year and a half, it would be, Rotary's about reimagining the world. What's one dream you have? You could do something like that and then see what people say. Maybe there's a new club project you guys can do. Maybe there's something that's really just burning inside of someone. Maybe a nonprofit's going to ask for help on something that gives you a new hands-on project or global grant opportunity or something like that. This is a great way to just get people to randomly say something because they're going to type something in, and then you have all that data. Okay, so those ones are really cool because you can just ask any question, use a background that makes sense for you, and then you're going to have all that great data. And people are engaging with your platform. They're going to start paying attention and seeing your stuff more often because they just engage with you other than just like scrolling past whatever post you just put up. And then the third one is a countdown. And so this is a really great effort where you can create a countdown for anything. A countdown to your meeting, a countdown to one of your service projects, a countdown to your event, whatever you want to do. But again, it's just to create some more excitement. So you can, on all of these, you can pick whatever background you want. You can add whatever tool you want on top of it. There are also GIFs and other things you can add, including the Rotary wheel, Rotary wheels that change colors, Rotary wheels that move, all the things to make it very Rotary-esque. Okay, so the cool part is what you can do with these things eventually for your Instagram stories and stuff and reels, you can actually categorize them and keep them at the top of things. But again, all of these efforts allow you to just get different types of input. People will respond to say the middle question more often than they may respond to and like comment on a post you make. People are really into stories. And again, they disappear after a day. So sometimes people do a story when they're in the thick of something because it's very dynamic, and then they'll do a post about something later as well. So you can actually use something twice and get some really good leverage off of it. So has anyone ever responded or seen any of these types of stories where you had to click the yes, no, or answer? Or, you know, have you ever done a countdown or responded to one of these things? And I'm seeing a lot of head shakes now. So again, it may seem really scary. It's really, really simple. And I wish I was fancy. I feel like Tim could probably help me to figure out how to do this. I wish I was fancy where I had a camera and I could actually show you what I'm doing on my phone. I'm not that fancy, but I'm always willing to like be online with you and walk through the steps to go through these if you run into any issues. But it really is simple. When you go to when you hold down on your profile picture, you're going to see these icons. Like you see the very top here, the one on the left, and you can click, you can add text, you can change colors, you can add stickers, all of it's in there when you start searching. So again, this is another great way to just, again, get what you're doing out there. Some people stack their stories where it's really, really, really quickly, like you click on them to move them. You could do fun things like there's the whole like, you know, tap to see what happens. You could do a before and after of one of your service projects. Those types of stories are really cool where it's like you can show a dirty highway, take a picture of it and say it's cleanup day for the Rotary Club of Carroll Creek. Add the second picture of what it looks like afterwards. And like, you can just say like, tap to see what Rotary Club of Carroll Creek did today, and it'll change over. So it's just meant to bring more pictures in. It's meant to be more dynamic. And the more and more you pay attention to the stories and try to build them, it really will become easy and you'll get to see the true power behind it because it's definitely very, very cool.
Okay, Ashley,
yeah.
Doug Vincent says, can you do it on a desktop or must it be done on a smartphone?
Smartphone only.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
and
so
I want to know how I see the results. So you said you could use the results to invite people to your meeting or something. How do I see the results?
When you go into your story after you do one of these things, it'll show you the results. And so you'll be able to see them all there right on the screen. So you'll be able to see the usernames of people. And you can go follow them on social media if you happen to know them or not know them. This is actually, it's a really cool way for you to do something like this for your club or district page, but this is also a really good way for your Rotarians, especially the ones that love doing social media. Have them help you with this kind of stuff, and also doing it personally. Like I said, I'm always a big fan of everyone in your club being part of your public image team, right? Everyone can do their part. Stories are a really easy way for them to do something where it'll benefit them extensively. So I really encourage you guys just to play around with this. This has a ton of potential. So I'm going to try to pull up, let me see if I can do this. I'm going to unshare my screen for 1 second because I had it linked, but then I had to pull it down. I want to just show you what some reels look like. So hang on 1 second here. I had it linked in Canva. All right, that did not work. Hang on 1 second. Okay. All right, I'm gonna try to just pull it up through my Instagram. So whatever you guys see here, I can't verify that it's going to be the most Rotary thing here. Okay, let's see here. Back to sharing my screen. Okay, so how many of you guys have heard about Charity Water? Have you guys heard about Charity Water? Really great organization. the founder also wrote a really great book about him starting this charity, but they do a really great job on social media. They're a huge nonprofit. They do things all across the world. And obviously they have like a huge marketing staff that works on this stuff. But I think it's important just to kind of see, and I would recommend you guys choose some charities and start following them on Instagram to figure out how they're definitely using this stuff. But you can see here on their Instagram page, and I was hoping to pull up one of their stories or one of their reels because it was really, really good, but we can look at some of this other stuff while we're here. You can create things that are going to be in these buckets. So they do a lot of hand washing. Is it working? Iconography here in terms of COVID. And you can see at the very top, you see how this thing is kind of counting down. This means this was done as an Instagram story, and it's kind of building on one another. And so you can add certain things and it stacks. This just happens to be a video. Let me see. So you can see that you could just do this with your phone, take a video, and then every image is stacked on all by just a few clicks on your cell phone. So this may seem like it was a major designed video, and it may have been, but you also could reproduce this just by taking a bunch of videos and then using the Instagram Reel function in Instagram. What Instagram Reels is basically like a TikTok video, and you can just stack and you can smush things together. So let's say you have 5 videos of what you're doing at a service project. You can go ahead and snip which portions of the videos that you want and put them together. You can have 3 seconds of each. You can have 1 second of each. You could have 1 second of this one, 5 seconds of that one, whatever you want. But you basically just say, hey, I want to put these 5 videos together. I want to take these clips, and you just literally use your finger and scroll. You can add music to it. You can do a lot of different things. And then you just hit send, and off it goes to the world. So these are a little bit fancier, but as you can see, the videos and the changing nature of it are really, really helpful and really, really cool. Let me get out of that one. And so again, I would really encourage you, Charity Water is a really simple one to follow, to see what they're doing. They also have really great pictures. So when we come back to social media, when you look at these photos, you just immediately want to learn more and you want to engage in what they're doing. But again, Instagram is really highly visible. And so I would encourage you just to pay attention to what some people are doing. So here are a few more reels that they did. And you can tell they're definitely, yeah.
So what I hear you saying is that we should just find somebody who is on Instagram and knows what they're doing and engage them to help us out the district or the clubs, right?
Yeah, so I think it's, the hard part about, the one thing about social media that I think sometimes people get really, they just think about it and make it too complicated, is that everything you're doing personally can be done to help the organization. Right. So like when you think about like all the random things that you may post, or like how many of you are using Instagram stories right now, but you never really thought to do it for Rotary, for your club page or your district page, it's all the same thing. And so find someone who happens to just be nailing it, on their end personally, who is doing a really good job, and see if they'll help you. But I also want to encourage you guys to just like try it out. If you're already on Instagram, remember, I always tell you Facebook and Instagram are the first 2 tools I would go to for social media. It's not hard to learn. And it really just takes a little bit of time. And I'm by no means a wizard at it. I learn something new every day when I'm doing stories or reels. But like I'll do, for example, like a reel that I'll do is, I don't know if a few of you are from Pennsylvania. So we love Knoebels, which is a very old school amusement park up in Pennsylvania. And I will take 15 videos of probably 5 to 6 seconds of my son throughout the weekend. I will put them all into a reel and send it to my mom. And my mom basically, then it's like my mom was there, right? She basically got to experience touring, running through rides. That's how I started doing Instagram Reels, was just like videotaping my son and smushing them together. And now I'm able to do things for my job, for Rotary, etc., where we're able to smush what we're doing together into a cool video to show that, hey, we're putting up flags in our downtown area. Look at all the flags that happen. Ta-da, this is what it looks like at the end. And everyone's like, whoa, what's that? And so it's just more dynamic. The thing is, on Facebook and Instagram, still photos are the norm, right? Graphics and photos will get you so far, but videos are going to be really, really important. So I'm going to stop sharing this and I'll pull up, but hope I didn't miss anything. Okay, I didn't. Good. So I'm going to reshare my PowerPoint here, and then we'll close up to make sure we do have time at the end to talk about. So I just want to touch base on a handful of things before I talk about the three main things. Again, are really looking at Canva to see how it can simplify what you're doing to allow you to be more dynamic with what you're posting. It'll take out some of the guesswork and really allow you to see a plan. A lot of people, when they start doing social media, they're just kind of willy-nilly putting stuff out there. I think it allows you to create more substance and actively plan a month at a time. Hey, we're going to post these 5 things over the next month, and then you can supplement with that added value. Number 2, again, was to really look at Facebook ads and outside of event-based marketing. Try to see how you can use it through that. And then number 3 is really start dabbling in Instagram Reels and Instagram and Facebook stories. Again, you do it once, it goes onto both platforms. It really is simple and the way to go. So just a reminder on a handful of things. 1, videos help. Everyone has a great video camera in their pocket these days. The cameras on our cell phones are just crazy. Use it to your advantage. You're there. Like, you don't need a GoPro. You don't need all these fancy things to do this stuff. I promise you, you don't. You just need to be able to remind yourself, oh yeah, I should take some video really quickly of this. So try to get that as part of your efforts. Consistency is going to remain key. You know, you can't do a really great job for a week and then ghost everybody for a month. Just try to find a way to keep it consistent. Maybe you try to do 2 things on Instagram a month as you get started. Okay, so just find a way to keep the exciting content coming. And lastly, and always important, is keep it on brand. So, you know, there are ways to make things look cool and keep it on brand in Instagram. You can have your colors there. Again, build out your brand center in your Canva account if you haven't already. That way, everything just stays the way it should, with a color scheme, with the logo usage, etc. And we're always helpful to look at something if you're ever confused. So again, always try something new. You can always pause it. I really think it's worth, you know, you can always delete it too. If it turns out to be awful, just delete it. I delete stuff all the time. I'm like, that did not look how I wanted it to, but I'm trying to learn new things. Create a plan and content calendar. Again, that's where Canva really comes in. And just don't forget the best practices we talked about along the way. So here's my information. You can follow me on all 3 of these platforms. You can also email me. And as you guys know, rizones33-34.org/Z33PI is our website for our zone. And everything is really kind of housed there for reference. And I'll make sure these slides are up there too. I also put them in the chat earlier. And I just want to remind everyone as well that we've done all these things. We still have all this other stuff left. So don't forget to join us next month. As we talked about, we'll run through Canva a little bit. We won't take the full hour on Canva, but we can talk about what it means to share some templates and how you can use it effectively for a team. So we have about 10 minutes left, and my voice is starting to go. So I want to see if there are any questions. I'm happy to answer them.
Can you share your email address again?
There you go. And like I said, if you're trying, you're like, hey, Ashley, I have these 5 videos and I'm struggling. If we can find a way where you can like show me your phone on a Zoom call, I will gladly hop on and I will try my best to walk you guys through this stuff virtually. It's much easier when you can do it in person, but that's just not an option for a lot of us right now. Craig, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, hi. Can you send me a link to the recording so I can share it with some people on my team?
Yeah, so we will put the recording up on our YouTube page, and then we will post that recording in the Zone Facebook page. Are you in that Facebook page, Craig?
No, so that's why
Okay.
I'd like an email with the link.
Yep. Can you put your email in the chat for me?
Sure.
And what is the YouTube page? Let me pull that up while we're doing it. Hey, Joe, are you still on, Joe?
I think the video are.
I'm digging for it right now.
It's
okay.
Zone 33 TV. Try that.
Yeah, Joe, if you can pop the YouTube link in there, that'd be great for me. So like I said, my number one goal is to make social media not seem so like heavy for people. And I've realized probably trying to get everyone into Instagram Reels is probably a really heavy thing for a lot of people, but I really encourage you guys to try it. We do so many cool things. We just struggle sharing our story. And the awesome thing about social media is it's giving everyday people like you and me opportunities to share our story pretty effectively through some videos and pictures too. So encourage you. And if you have a teenage child and you need help, I guarantee they're going to know what to do as well. So use them. I encourage that as well.
Ashley, did you get Mark's email address?
I got Craig's, so I'm going to copy all them. I'm going to stop sharing just so I can capture all this stuff off screen.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, there's Craig's.
But you can always like our Facebook page, Zone 33 Facebook page. And that way you won't miss anything.
Yeah, I'm going to pop in the link for that as well here in a second because I know people are asking for it.
And Joe's got the Zone 33 TV.
Is that the one that says Rotary Zones 33/34? Is that the page on Facebook?
Yes. Yep. Yes. So it's both of our zones together, and there's the link for anyone who needs it. Yeah, it's a great place. We post all this stuff in here as well. And the Zone 34 people also post their stuff in there. So you get the best of both worlds. Any other questions regarding social media or where you guys can find resources? Okay. Hearing nothing. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for hanging with me with my very awkward voice tonight. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you,
Hope
Ashley.
You feel better, Ashley.
Yeah. So to everybody that was on the call tonight, thank you so much for joining in. We really appreciate it. It was a wonderful group. As Billy and Ashley said, it's probably the largest attendance we've had one of these classes. And you can certainly tell the passion that Ashley has for this. And we're so fortunate to have her on our team. And I think on behalf of everybody on the call, Ashley, get better and hope the rest of your family gets better as well. As a reminder, February 17th will be our next office hours. And as Ashley said, we'll put together something on a tutorial on Canva. So there'll be an email coming out to everybody regarding that and the link. But you can always find that on our Zone 33 public image team. The links are there to join any of those sessions. So hope everybody stays warm and has a great evening and a great weekend. So good night, everybody. Thank you.
Night.
Good night. Great job, Ashley.
Thanks, Will.
You're welcome. Call me if you need me or need anything dropped off. I'm here for you.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. I mean it, though.
Joe, are you still there?
I think he dropped off.
Okay, I'll WhatsApp him.
And Billy, whenever you're ready, when you're ready to get together, Billy, just let me know.
Okay. Thanks.
Ashley, if you want to hang on a sec, I can fill you in a little bit on the president's theme if you're interested.
Oh, I think it's a great theme. I just think we confuse the heck out of people sometimes. Billy, have you hit stop recording? So before I say anything, I can get me in trouble.
Wait a minute.
No, my big thing is that